So what's the best home exercise equipment to buy? That's a question we get asked frequently in clinic, and I have a standard answer to it. Most people are expecting us to say a cross trainer or a stepper or a treadmill or exercise bike, something that is a low impact type of device, primarily geared towards improving cardiovascular fitness. Now, improving cardiovascular fitness is important, and of course, the popular belief is that that's the best way to lose weight also. Um, Current research would suggest that that's not entirely true. But I have a standard answer which I tell folks, and that is that they don't need to buy expensive equipment. The best piece of equipment is your own body weight. What I'm saying really here is body weight exercise can achieve for most individuals exactly what's required in terms of trying to improve muscle strength. So what we're talking about here are movements where you use the resistance of your own body weight to target particular muscle groups in order to improve their strength. Now, one of the downsides of body weight exercise is that a lot of people aren't sufficiently strong enough to handle their body weight. Let's say, for example, a pull-up movement where you're hanging from a bar and trying to pull your body weight up. Very small percentage of the total population could do a pull-up. Some estimates are between 1 and 5% of the population. That's obviously quite an athletic level of movement, but a very, very good measure of general upper body strength. Now, the good news is that there are lots of variations in exercise that can try to meet people at whatever particular level they're at. So that there are a stepwise pathway to try to move towards a final objective, and it's really a case of matching your whatever starting point you're at and matching a level of loading at that point, and then trying to work systematically through progressions to whatever level is necessary. If you did want to use equipment, my usual recommendation is to use something like a pull-up bar with a TRX suspension strap. Many of the supermarkets do these at very reasonable prices, or of course you can get them in the sports stores, but it's a very modest investment of between 40, 50 euros, which really is a very, very versatile setup. But really that would be very much at the upper end of the scale. For the vast majority of folks, body weight exercise can be structured sufficiently to make it really as challenging as it needs to be, even for the athletic populations. The example I gave there of upper body strength was a pull-up. Even simply being able to hang from your arms for 10 to 15 seconds, very good measure of grip and upper body and upper back strength. What's called a hanging leg raise, if you can lift your knees, either tuck your knees up or legs out straight, very, very strong measure of midsection strength or core stability. And then if we look at the legs, the ability to squat, which in daily function replicates sit to stand action, a very common kind of movement, but a lot of folks, particularly into their 60s and beyond, start to use trick movements to disguise deficits in leg strength, and they'll tend to push up through their arms to come up into an upright position. So a squat would be a very, very fundamental requirement, and the ability at least to be able to control your body weight bending down to 90 degrees of hip and knee bend, or knee flexion as it's referred to. The reality, of course, is that if you want to climb stairs and get in and out of cars and do those kind of functional tasks, you need to be able to tolerate your body weight on one leg, not two, but on one leg. Stairs is a series of one-legged climbs. So there are specific exercises, variations of one-legged squats, split squats, pistol squats. These are the technical terms for those exercises. And these can all be modified and adjusted to within your own current capacity, but they really are the essential building blocks of maintaining that kind of function. And even athletic folks who can do quite heavy weightlifting will find a one-legged pistol squat with body weight a challenging drill. So I'm a big fan of body weight and a big fan of manipulating variables to try to meet people wherever they're at, so that you can devise a level of loading that targets a specific muscle group, whether it's neck, shoulders, midsection, or legs, and then be able to challenge them at an achievable level, and then show a pathway of progression in order to achieve their functional objective. Of course, the advantage of that is that there's virtually no expense involved. Okay, so you don't need to go out buying equipment. It doesn't take up space at home. It doesn't become like many exercise bikes and treadmills, just become a place to hang clothes for airing and doesn't get used. So you don't have any of those downsides, but you just need a little bit of discipline in order to put the time in. And again, this is very time efficient. 15-20 minutes of bodyweight exercise, an awful lot can be achieved relative to spending an hour in the gym and whatever your commuting time and what have you in the gym. So I'm a big fan of bodyweight for a whole number of reasons. If you wanted to look into that in a bit more detail, there are a lot of online resources. The Cavadlo brothers, Kavadlo, Cavadlo brothers, have some really great information on their websites and their books. Frank Medrano, Medrano, is another exponent of this type of bodyweight exercise. The general terminology is called calisthenics. So again, if you search under calisthenics, you'll find that. There's a whole sort of street culture, particularly in the States, sometimes referred to as street workouts, and you'll see these guys doing some quite extreme things, but don't be put off by that. That level of performance, which is really almost on the gymnastic scale, takes years to achieve, and I mean years to achieve. So that's the very high end of the scale, but there's a lot of consolation for us in the more normal end of the scale, that there are always ways to modify and make things very safe, and again, as I say, meet you at your current level of capacity, so that you have achievable objectives, but then are able to step up the progressions to a level that's required for whatever your activities of daily living are. So that's today's tip, a useful one which could save you a fortune. Some people are a little disappointed that I don't recommend some fancy piece of equipment with bells and whistles and apps and various kinds of plugins. But I guess I'm an old-fashioned guy, and bodyweight exercise has been around since military training and armies began. There's a reason why it's stuck around, because it's effective. So I'm going to leave you with that thought, and we'll see you again on another video. Bye for now.